Hey guys, I'm BB here. So today I'm going to be doing a deck profile for Mekk-Knight Invoked. So I did a video a few days ago with some replays from this deck, and I got a request for a deck profile. So I'm working on this deck in real life, but I don't actually have all the cards yet, so I'm going to be doing a deck profile on YGOPRO. So I'm just going to be going through the cards and explaining sort of the strategy and why I'm playing certain cards. So, yeah, obviously we have 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker. So this is like the main monster. All the fusion monsters use Alistair the Invoker as requirement for material. And when Alistair is normal summoned, or I guess also flip face up, but you're usually going to normal summon, it allows you to search for Invocation. And Invocation is the fusion spell that you're going to use. So it basically just allows you to summon invoked fusion monsters, and it also allows you to banish materials from either player's graveyard. And then it also allows you to recycle Alistair and itself, so it's going to allow you to infinitely use invocations, allowing you to fusion summon at least one monster every turn. So Invocation's a really good spell combined with Alistair. So then to search out Alistair, we got 3 copies of Magical Meltdown. So the main effect is the first effect, obviously, which allows you to, when it's activated, add 1 Alistair from your deck to your hand. But it also protects your fusion summons from being negated, so it can be pretty helpful. And 1 terraforming to search out Magical Meltdown. So you basically have 7 copies of Alistair in this deck. So really, really easy to find him. You always want to have either Alistair, terraforming, or Magical Meltdown in your opening hand. So I think it's good to max out on all of those. So then we got Mekk-Knights. So I have got 3 purple, 1 the indigo, and 2 blue sky. So basically purple is really, really good because it allows you to banish itself until the next standby phase to search for another Mekk-Knight. So this just searches out your other Mekk-Knights. And then blue sky also searches out your other Mekk-Knights, but only when it's summoned, and also your opponent has to control a card in their column in order for you to be able to search it. So this is not very good going first. But I think 2 is still really good because it's still the second best Mekk-Knight, and also it can be searched with purple. And then indigo is mostly just because we need another search target for blue sky and purple, and indigo is probably the best of the other Mekk-Knights. So indigo just allows you to move one of your Mekk-Knights to a different of your main monster zones. And so since all the Mekk-Knights need to be summoned into a column with 2 or more cards in it, this allows you to just free up a zone to summon another Mekk-Knight into. So indigo is pretty good. And basically, since you're going ideally you're going second, Mekk-Knights are really good for going second. So they already pair well for this deck. Also, the main fusion monster invoked Mekk-Knight requires Alistair and a light monster, and all the Mekk-Knights are light monsters. And also, they allow you to get extra link materials, and then you can banish them from the graveyard with Invocation to summon out your fusion monster. So Mekk-Knights are really good with invoke cards. Then the rest of the monsters are just things for going second. So we got Psyframe Gear Gamma as one of the hand traps, as well as the 1 Psyframe Driver, obviously, because it's required to make it work. So this can just negate monster effects. We got 2 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is really, really good. It's a light for Mekk-Knight, and also it can negate the effects of the monster on the field, but it's not as powerful as Gamma, I think. Then we've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It's probably the best hand trap in the game right now, and also it's a fire monster, which does come up. Then we've also got 2 copies of Nibiru. So it's actually also a light for Mekk-Knight, and it's just super, super good against like combo decks. The only annoying thing is it does summon out the token, which makes it a lot harder for you to OTK your opponent on the next turn, but it's still a really, really good card. Then we just got Dino Wrestler Pankratops, really, really good for going second. It can start to break down your opponent's board and maybe baits out some negations, so Pankratops is really, really good. Only 2 copies because you can only special summon it once per turn, but yeah, this is a really, really good card. Then for spells, we obviously have the 2 Invocation that I talked about earlier, and the 1 Terraforming and Magical Meltdown. Then we've got the Book of the Law. So this is this is really good for OTKing your opponent. So it just allows you to tribute an invoked monster to special summon a new one, and you can just activate during the battle phase. So it gets you usually like an extra 3,000 damage because you're going into Magallanica, which has tons of attack. So Book of the Law really, really good for OTKs, and it can be searched out. So you only really need 1 copy. It's hard once per turn. You got 1 copy of Upstart Goblin. Really, really nice just to make the deck a little bit more consistent. 3 Mind Control. It can bait out negations, get extra materials for fusion or link summons, and also just, yeah, it's really good going second to try and break your opponent's board. We got 3 Call by the Grave, since since Alistair, Terraforming, and Magical Meltdown are all vulnerable to Ash Blossom. So Call by the Grave just prevents that from happening. The only annoying thing is infinite impermanence, since that can't be stopped by Call by the Grave. Got 1 Twin Twister. I have 2 more in the side, but it's just a really, really good card for going second and going up against back row decks. 3 Super Polymerization. Super really good against monster heavy decks like Orcust and stuff. But yeah, you could just super poly away your opponent's cards and they just can't respond to it. So really, really good for breaking boards, getting extra link materials. So yeah, super polymerization just really, really good for going second. Yeah, so that's all for the main deck. It's pretty straightforward. It's mostly just invoked engine plus Mekk-Knights and more going second things. The extra deck is kind of interesting. So I'll start with the fusions. We got 3 Macabre. So this is like one of your better going first options, since it can negate cards as long as you discard the same type of card from your hand. But yeah, this is like the easiest one to go into because you have a lot of light monsters in your deck. You've got 1 Magallanica. This is usually what you go into off of the Book of the Law. So you only really need 1. You don't usually go into this. The only other time I could see myself going into it is by using Super Poly. So yeah, 2 Purgatrio. So this takes Alistair and a fire monster. So that's like one of the ways Ash Blossom comes in, is as material for Purgatrio. And also against Salamangreat, you can use monsters in their graveyard to satisfy this requirement. So this can just attack all your opponent's monsters and inflict piercing battle damage. So this is really, really good for like OTKs and stuff. You got Mud Dragon is a super poly target, as well as Starving Venom. These are the targets that usually come up most for me. And then finally 1 copy of Invoke Kaliga. So this takes Alistair and a Dark Monster. This is like probably your best option going first, because, well, basically it stops monster effects after your opponent activates 1. So this is a really good option just going first. For links, we got Alistair the Invoker of Madness. So this is what allows you to search Book of the Law. So if a monster is fusion summoned, you get to discard a card to add Invocation or Book of the Law. You're usually going to add Book of the Law because regular Alistair can search Invocation. But yeah, this can just search Book of the Law and allow you to OTK your opponent pretty easily. And then I got 1 Lambda. This is another generic link too. And also you do play Gamma, so its effect actually can be used. And also, if a face-up psychic monster is banished, then you can trigger its effect to add a Psy-Frame card from your hand during the end phase. And Purple Nightfall is a psychic monster that has an effect that banishes itself. So it actually can come up with its effects. So Lambda is really good. We got Phoenix and Cerberus, really, really good for removal. I think Cerberus is actually necessary because of Nibiru. So it's just a way to destroy the token. Underclock Taker can help with OTKing your opponent to just reduce one of your opponent's monster's attack. So it's pretty useful. And then also Salamangreat Almirage. So what this can do is you can link off your Alistair and then set like an invocation or something in the same column as you summon your Almirage into, and then you can summon a Mekk-Knight into that column. So Almirage is really useful with Mekk-Knights, and also it's a fire monster, so you can use it as fusion material for Purgatrio if you want to OTK. So Almirage is really good in this deck. Extra deck, pretty basic, not really much interesting. Side deck, we got a third copy of Nibiru if I'm going against like a really hardcore combo deck, and I maybe want to side out like Twin Twisters or something. Nibiru can be put in. Extra copy of Pankratops, kind of if I know I'm going second against something like a backrow deck maybe, or something that I really need to fade out negations, I can throw in Pankratops. Also, if I need to side something out, I can put in Pankratops. Vandy's Fiend is for going first, mostly. So it's a dark for Kaliga, and then, yeah, it also just has a decent effect. I've got a bunch of artifact cards, so Scythe prevents them from special summoning monsters from the X deck, Moraltalk pops a card, and Lancia prevents your opponent from banishing, and then they can all be summoned with Artifact Sanctum. So really good for going first, since there are a lot of cards that you want to side out for going first, so a lot of times I just throw in Artifact Sanctum. And then lastly, I've got 2 copies of Twin Twisters, the remaining 2 for going up against like backrow decks or stuff. So yeah, that's really all for Mekk-Knight Invoked. It's a really fun deck. I do want to build this in real life, so that'll be fun. Maybe eventually I could do a real life profile. But yeah, I did get a request, so that's why I'm doing it now. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.